All right. Start spreading the news.
Okay, here we go, guys.
I'll be there today.
I thought you were leaving today.
7.
I wanna be a part of it.
You know, New York.
What's neat this week?
That's right.
I
Who needs
love
New
it.
York?
How's our sound?
Wait, we're in New York? No kidding.
Yeah. All right.
Huh.
Good sound.
Thank
All right, guys, let's do this.
Thank you. All right, here we go.
I know, it's the best hobby in the world. We love it when it's like this.
Oh,
we got
yeah.
a good group tonight, don't we? All right. All right, gentlemen, somebody give us a countdown. Let's try to do number 87 and make it look easy.
87.
Start the top. Daniel.
All right, 3, 2, 1.
Here's the What's Neat This Week podcast, number 87 for August 24th, 2019. Tonight we have engines from Athern. We have Intermountain train cars, some in N scale. We have something that I got up in Pennsylvania, some phone trucks, some planes, and a few other things.
Rock and roll. This is the best hobby in the
Hallelujah.
world.
Planes, trains, automobiles.
The What's Neat This Week video podcast is supported by enthusiastic model railroaders just like you. Additional support is provided by Athern Trains. Check out all their new monthly announcements at athern.com. And by Micromark, the small tool specialists. Visit their website and use product code WNTW at www.micromark.com/WNTW. Further support is provided by the NCE Corporation, the power of DCC. Visit their website at ncedcc.com. And thank you for supporting the What's Neat This Week podcast. This is the What's Neat This Week podcast, number 87 for August 24th, 2019.
The HL Scale podcast.
That's right.
No, we got a lot of N scale tonight on the table. We've got all
187.
scales. We got 200 scale on the table. How interesting. Tonight I've got with me Joshua Sugarfire.
What's
it
up,
says it right
everybody?
there. Barton, I've got Mike Buddy. And he's going to talk about cars and freight cars tonight. I've also got James Regier, always very interesting to listen to what he has to say, and he's got some good stuff to talk about tonight. Also, we've got Daniel Coombs with us this evening running camera. Thank you, Daniel. You did fantastic last week. A lot of people really enjoyed seeing your new construction on your layout that you're working on, so thank you for that, Daniel. And I, of course, am Ken Patterson, the host of the What's Neat show over at Model Railroad Hobbyist Magazine. And that video that we all love to watch, I'm working on October right now, and I think it's got 14 different interviews in it. But it's not just interviews with manufacturers showing off their wares. This time, we ask them about their passion and look at their layouts that they have. So it's actually going to be a very interesting video. And of course, November is going to be tons and tons of how-tos.
Oh, yeah.
We started some of that tonight. We had Austin Allard and Mitchell Befoden. Gentlemen, we love you. They were helping me this week work on the layout, and I've got notes for it somewhere around here, but I'm just going to go from it from memory because what it was I wanted to build it so that the walkway would be a little bit wider over there. So we changed the shape of the layout, and the section is coming out so that I can take it outside and use it to do Athern and various manufacturers run-bys, primarily Athern because that's who I do the video run-bys for. But they were over there and we built the bench work. I'm going to explain to you how I do build the bench work on this layout, and it's going to run as a full segment in What's Neat in November. But just briefly tonight, we're going to talk about how we took metal studs, which is generally the platform for the basis of my bench work on this layout, because all the sections do lift out to go outside to be used for video and photography. So these metal studs, Mitchell Befoden and I were drilling holes, 1/8-inch holes into each side at the same time. They were all clamped into place. And then we were pop riveting the studs. And I also used liquid nail on them to alleviate any sound, any rattling or noise that they might create. Now, once you've got metal studs in place like this, the way I'm setting them up on this layout with the bench work and what have you, you can run your DCC wires through these studs to run your the LocoNet or any of the bus wires for your what do they call those panels that you plug into around your layout. Now I cut these studs usually with a super sawzall. It's just a simple metal cutting blade powered by electric. It works really well. And so tonight Austin and Mitchell were both laying I assume code 83 track over there. We made a temporary main line just to get it running tonight, but the plan is to do a double track, super elevated, very gentle sweeping curve so that it's going to be something that I can, again, change out the scenes, put buildings in, switch things out, and make it a very versatile outdoor videography module. So I wanted to go over that, and if you understood all those clips you just saw, that layout construction will make sense to you. So tell me, Joshua, about this 7.5-inch gauge you want to talk about.
Well, I've dove right into that side of the hobby, and I've gotten a lot of feedback from our viewers here. And Mike Buddy has as well. We've been chit-chatting with Alex Lofton, and he's down in Alabama towards
Gulf Coast area, around Mobile.
Around Mobile. And him and his friend Charlie Rutherford, they have built everything that they have here from scratch.
Amazing.
And it is absolutely breathtaking.
These
those
photos are
those
amazing.
photos were
You-
incredible.
You know, the welding and, I mean, all this detail. I
Yeah.
have a bunch of
They're all
pictures
here. I know they're here. The
They
auto
are.
rack is what really blew
The
me
auto
away.
rack is amazing.
I mean, the auto rack is just...
And then they also have, there's a really, really cool pulp wood rack that they made, a chip hopper. They even have a tank car that they have, and they will take the used oil from their vehicles and store it in the tank car until they have enough to put in a 55-gallon bucket
Oh, that's
to
incredible.
recycle
awesome.
that. So they
Yeah.
are a green railroad, and they wanted
Right.
everybody to know that as well.
And these are two CSX employees
They-
that
they
met
are.
at the railroad.
Alex,
Got to be
he's
friends.
an engineer, and then Charlie, he works the yard as a switchman, and he actually runs the remote
Remote control
locomotives.
locomotives.
So he's doing his hobby while he's making money at
Yes.
work. So it's really
What a-
cool. This auto rack is just absolutely
It is.
amazing.
It looks so real.
The front runner that they're working on here, and we have a little video to run of that, is just absolutely spot on, and
the
it
working
shows
suspension.
yeah, it shows how the suspension on the front goes to where, you know, it will actually lean the car
Oh,
when
wow.
it has the trailer truck on it. So it's very cool. These guys have a private little railroad that they run on, and it's just them, and they do everything from scratch. So,
Yeah. Well, we'll be keeping in touch with him.
yeah,
for
absolutely.
Sure.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much for the footage and the pictures, guys, and we look forward to seeing what else you guys are going to do. So
That's awesome, Joshua. I can't wait to see. This is a very interesting hobby. This
It
is a very...
is, and it's a whole new aspect of it. You know, people will load their stuff up into trailers or in the back of their pickup trucks, and they'll drive, you know, for days.
Right.
There's a place in Oregon called Intermountain, and they have a tricentennial, so it's once every 3 years, and people will, you know, come all the way from Florida and make a couple-week journey all the way to
Nice.
Oregon, stopping in these other 7.5-inch gauge places.
Oh, nice.
But it's really cool, and the best place to go to see all this stuff is discoverlivesteam.com.
Okay.
And they have sales for that. They have everything set up to where you can look in every state and find out what railroads, what gauge they are. So, you know, there's a lot of 15-inch gauge railroads out there, a lot of amusement park railroads that we wouldn't even think about, you know, and they're hiding in people's backyards.
Yeah.
And it's really cool.
What
to
are the
see
two
that.
here in St. Louis? The WF&P and then the one in Eureka?
Yeah,
What gauge are
yeah.
those?
That's the Wabash Frisco Pacific. I
Right.
believe that's 15-inch gauge.
Okay.
And then the St. Louis Life Steamers is 7.5-inch gauge.
Okay.
And then we used to have TT and Arbor Way, and that was privately owned, and that has just recently shut down. The owner passed away, so they did put that up for sale. I don't know if it's been sold or not, but those are the three local ones here to St. Louis. But you can go on Discover Life Steam and check out all these different places, all, you know, different towns in your area. So definitely hop on there. It'll tell you if they're private or if they're a club or, you know, whatnot. So go down and at least check them out. They're really cool to see.
That's
Okay.
pretty
Very
amazing, man.
amazing.
I mean, this is going to be a welcoming thing, Joshua, to see what you do with this.
Oh, yeah.
And we're all going to get to watch it together because this is the best hobby in the world.
You guys,
and
are
we all
gonna-
get to
you guys
share
are going
it.
to be riding with me. Are you kidding
This is
me?
going to
Oh,
be
that'll
cool.
be blast.
Yeah.
Looking at our Facebook page, the What's Neat This Week Facebook page. Thank you, Austin and guys, for keeping that monitored. Mike, I know you keep comments monitored on there too. Thank you very much because I look at it about once every 10 days. I'm sorry. David Brookie sent us a beautiful outdoor photograph. This is just great. I showed it to Joshua. He took a scene outside. This is HO scale, I believe it is. The telephone poles, the grain elevator, all the scenery looked just fantastic in natural sunlight. Great job matching up the background. So
He's
thank
a
you.
great vehicle modeler too. I don't know if that photograph has any vehicles in it, but he has
does.
It does. It has the little
awesome
truck on the
trucks
side
Oh,
there.
yeah.
and vehicles.
And that blends in perfectly with the tree. That's a real tree that's in the very far
Right,
background of there.
right.
So
Nice job, Dave.
yeah, definitely.
Last week, Campbell Rice was talking about the PTC antennas that the railroads are using, and Chad Weaver sent us a photograph of one that he got for his layout. So thank you, Chad. I love your layout. Your vehicles also look very good in these pictures.
Yeah,
There's
and
two
the
photographs.
buildings too. Those are pretty neat.
Thank you for sharing the material on Facebook. We love it when we get to see everybody's work out there, especially when you guys weather up these value trains, What's Neat box cars. We love to see the different type of artistry that you guys do to just make them look old. I love it. So now Intermountain. We've got a lot of Intermountain N-scale products on the table because Intermountain has been very successful with their endeavors of their new factories that they're working with to create these beautiful models. And I took them outside today and did an outdoor photo shoot on the old Wathers N-scale switchyard that I used for a cover. And I can't even remember what year it was, probably in the 2000s is when I shot this N-scale cover, which is hanging on the wall somewhere. But rock and roll, this diorama still works. These freight cars looked absolutely beautiful in real sunlight. And they also make these road names in HO scale. So thank you very much, Intermountain, for sharing these with us. And we're going to use these when we start working on this project layout in N scale for Model Road Hobbyist Magazine. We got a head start with some freight cars. And let me think. I'm going to describe what these are. The longer freight car is a 3-bay 4650 cubic foot hopper, and the shorter car is a 2-bay center float hopper. So I wanted to specify that because that's what you'd need to know in case you wanted to order something like this. Micromark, there's a catalog in front of you, James, on the table. Micromark has finally shown off their larger spray booth, our drying oven for drying models. This dries models at about 130 degrees, which is a safe temperature for doing it. But this is the larger, extra large model that they've created. The trademark name is Dr. Dry Booth. And this thing is 33 inches wide, which is perfect because you can fit an O-scale passenger car in that.
Yeah.
It's 15 1/4 inches high and 12 inches deep. So this is perfect for baking your freight cars plastic and or brass to cure the paint on them prior to decaling them. It's the way that you make that paint rock hard, just like the professionals do it in automotive body markets.
And if you have that size, you can put multiple HO size freight cars in there.
True that. Now, James, you're here tonight, and you've got some cool stuff you wanted to talk about. Where do you want to start, with K10 or your photo shoot? Go ahead.
Well,
shoot.
we'll do it chronologically. I guess we were at K10s first. So yeah, last Thursday night, the third Thursday of every month, is a prototypical operating session at K10's model trains. This is an 80-foot by or a 70-foot by 80-foot layout space, all HO scale. 3 different railroads represented on 2 levels of track. So it's a layout that Ken Kroshvitz, who owns K10's model trains, had as a dream retirement project, and with a bunch of friends from the Maryville area, they completed it. I think probably about 15-20 years ago, but it's open to the public. With third Thursday of every month, an adult operating session where you get assigned trains, switch duties, switch lists, and everything else, and then you complete the task by evening's end. Or on Sundays, the first Sunday of every month, every Sunday in December, they have an open house that's open to everybody. For a donation, you get to come and watch trains running all afternoon, or for a slightly higher donation, they give you a throttle, you can run trains. So it's a great way to sort of introduce kids to the hobby, or to just explore the hobby if you're kind of deciding what you want to do with it.
It's huge.
Yeah,
It is.
I mean, how many feet of track do they have on that?
it's definitely, I think it's I think it's at least a mile of linear track if it's all stretched into.
A real live mile. So like
Yeah.
5,000. I mean, dude,
Yeah.
and it looks
Yeah.
every bit of it. Plus
Oh, yeah.
every single building. I mean, all the beautiful water structures. I saw the ore dock on there and the refinery on there and so many super trees, those trees from Scandinavia, that real
Yeah.
fibery material. They've truly tested all of the things in the hobby that we always wondered about. And they look good on that
Right.
layout.
Yeah, no, it's just an incredible place. I've been going there probably 6 years running now, maybe more, maybe less. But even so, there's always something new to find. Like there's always different details that they've sort of worked into the scenery, different Easter eggs, and that's fun. So
I believe they have a little scavenger hunt too, so you can find like Bigfoot and this and that.
right,
Yeah.
yeah, it's. Or a family of bears, I think there is. There's
That's
a
neat.
hobo arrest under a bridge. Some interesting scenes.
That's
And
pretty
that
amazing.
that will inspire you, and you can go right into their hobby shop and purchase
Yeah.
some trains
Right.
as well.
In fact, a
Yes.
lot of the shelves under the layout are, in fact, inventory storage space, so that they can
They have tons of used stuff.
tons of used stuff and tons of rare to find models. I know when I was starting my El Capitan HO scale train, I was in the market way too late to order anything from anybody, but K10s had every car I needed, so
That's awesome.
they're a
K-
great place to find rare stuff.
How far away are they from St. Louis?
Oh, about 20
30?
miles from me, so I guess 10 miles from downtown.
Okay.
Yeah, it
All
wasn't
right.
a bad drive.
And last time I was there, they had a complete set of the Concours Aero train, still brand new in the box.
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah.
an antique. How about that? Those
Yeah.
are neat. I got 2 sets of those down here, and I love them.
Yeah, I
one
love
too.
mine.
I mixed them together. Before you talk
They're
about your
gorgeous.
LEDs, Mike, tell us what you brought tonight.
I got a couple of freight cars. I got up in Pennsylvania a few weeks ago. I was at English's model train shop, and I talked to Rich Cox, and I miss Vern Trago that I always see up there. But first car I picked up was Tangent dry flow hopper. I think they're 3,500 cubic feet, but it's got all kinds of detail on it. And then the car behind it might be a Fubi. That's the old Details West mold, but it's Athearn release. I always liked that B&O paint scheme, so I'm going to weather that one up and
Nice.
run
Yeah.
it. So then the only other thing I've really been working on is I'm starting to make another telephone bucket truck using the Atlas 73 Ford cab.
That looks good.
And,
Yeah.
So I
That
put
looks
that
incredible.
on Trident lift truck. So
I've never seen one of your models that wasn't super detailed, so I get to actually
Yeah,
see it
yeah,
the way it
it's-
looks
yeah.
halfway
Yeah.
through.
In progress.
It looks
Yeah, we'll
brand
see.
new. The paint job is smooth
Well,
and
it
very
is.
nice on it.
Well, thanks.
That's very well done.
Well, so far so good. We'll see what happens.
I love it. Now, James, tell us about that photo shoot you wanted to discuss. I alluded to last week on the show a little bit.
Yeah, this was after the operating session at K10's. I just came by Ken's here, and
I remember the barbecue
and-
chicken.
oh yeah, he was making it's so good.
Yeah, that's
But-
when I was gone.
Yeah, but at any rate, the moon was full that night, and I just remember looking up and thinking it was gorgeous, and taking a picture of it with my iPhone. And then Ken was like, "Do you have any trains along?" And
Yes.
I was like, "Yes, I just came here from the operating session, of course." Okay, we're going to set up a module. We're going to get the moon in reflection from a lake, and we're going to have the train in it, and we're going to have it captured, and it's going to be gorgeous. And so Ken sets in motion, and he gets out his module. He sets it up probably in less than 2 minutes. We had the whole track powered, the locomotives powered up, and then he gets out his tripod and his camera and sets the timer, for 6 minutes or more, like times that I'd never really thought of doing photography before, and then turns on the house lights 15 seconds, then shines a flashlight along the side of the train for 10 seconds. All very, and not just in a row and not just on top of each other,
Yeah.
but very precisely timed throughout this period. And it was just incredible to watch. This is
It
the
is
first
pretty
time I've seen you in
impressive.
action, Ken.
Yeah.
That was
I appreciate
impressive.
it. It was a lot of fun. It's all about the process, and it's a process of more or less patience. You got to know that 10 seconds of light with a flashlight is all you need, and you put the flashlight down. And then
Yep.
you just have to wait the duration for the moon and the stars and the lights in Illinois to burn themselves through. And rock and roll. It just comes out great. Did I just say that? I can't help it.
It does.
This is
And-
rock and roll. This is a great photo
It is.
shoot.
And you
It
know
is
what?
pretty
In
amazing
some
to
of the-
see you work.
In some of the forums I've shared this in, and I shared it in the Atchison, Topeka, and Santa Fe forum, until I told them it was a model, they were actually
Yeah.
thinking it was the real
Wow.
thing.
I sent a copy to Atlas. Yes, I did. I think it was Hadrick that got to look at it. Did I get that right? Jarrett Hadrick. I didn't get it right. Don't have it written down. It wasn't in my notes, but Atlas loves it. They saw it too.
Good.
It's their
Well,
locomotive.
And you know what? I got to hand it to Atlas, too, for keeping a great inventory of spare parts. Because when I was redoing this 518 up here, adding LEDs and all of that, you know, I broke a handrail or two. I called Atlas, no problem. They had it all. They had it all.
Nice.
And that's not to
That's
be taken
good to
for
know.
granted.
Yeah.
For real.
Thank you for the compliment. I loved walking through my own photo shoot. It was fun. I've got some B-roll of a Woodland Scenics layout that I went up to Mark Twain Hobby the other day. There's these, don't worry about zooming in, but there's these airplanes on the table. They're 1/200th scale. One of them is that Max that they can't fly right now, that Boeing
The
Max.
737 MAX.
Right. And the other one is a Trans World Airline 747. And it was just amazing to me, the difference in sizes of these
Yeah.
airplanes.
I had no idea those were the same scale.
They are the same
Yeah.
scale. It's just amazing. I'd love to get an Airbus. It's not that it's my new hobby, but it's what I bought at the hobby store. I went up to Mark Twain, and when I was there, I saw this layout, which really came together in my mind as, oh my goodness, this is a layout in a box. And what it is, it's the Grand Valley layout. I think it comes in a 3-box set from Woodland Scenics. But this layout is essentially everything you need in a box to build a train layout. So if you're a grandfather and want to do something for the grandkids, I mean, it's all there. There's no power pack and no train. You supply your own. But the basics of an entire layout in a box where there's no guesswork, there's an instruction book to work through, it was absolutely amazing. Kevin, the manager up there at Mark Twain, told me that I think there was about 8 people that had built this, if I wrote it down
Yeah.
right, and they spent 70 man-hours building it. So it's an
Wow.
absolutely achievable way to purchase an HO scale layout ready to go. I thought this was cool and it was worth talking about.
It comes
Yeah.
with
Awesome.
everything: the scenery, the ground foam, the
Everything.
buildings,
Right.
everything.
Yep.
All you got to
Yeah.
do is get the power pack and the actual train.
Yeah.
And if I recall correctly, you can even watch the video on YouTube of
Yeah.
Woodland Scenics people assembling
That's-
this very
yeah.
kit.
They have very
Cool.
good videos. While I was up there, I also something else that caught my eye. I'm in the hobby store like up there about once every 6 months, and these American flags from Woodland Scenics. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Plug and
Oh, yeah.
play.
Plug and-
Yeah.
Just plug systems, so that I guess
Those
they
are
light
awesome.
up. They're in various scales. They're built where they
Nice.
look like they're the perfect waving pattern of a flag. It's actually a very neat looking United States flag, and I just thought it was cool.
Oh, that's
so
neat.
I shot 22 seconds of video here. I wanted to show you guys of that.
And those are the things that you don't really think about on your layout. Those
Right.
things that in real life just make everything pop and look realistic.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, so
Details.
thank you very much, Mark Twain, for letting me shoot the B-roll of that layout up there and seeing all the new cool stuff and selling me
love
my
you, Kevin.
really cool
Kevin
airplane.
Thompson. Yeah.
You know what else we've got on the table, and I'm going to go long on this show. I know we're supposed to end here to George Bush, number 41
Yeah.
locomotive. Mitchell brought this over tonight. This is an actual production run of this from Athern, and I'm going to take this and get to borrow it tomorrow, and I want to shoot it outside
It's
just
a
to get some
beautiful
nice
model.
photography of it.
It's
On their website, they've just announced a brand new series of locomotive, the SD45-2 diesel locomotive. Now, I got to tell you what, these are the ones that are going to come with LEDs. The last run of those that I actually had this engine. I did the
Yeah,
Robert
yeah.
Frischella wintertime photograph
yeah.
with the
The-
Erie
the
Lackawanna
Iris, yeah.
running lead. That was an SD45-2
Snow.
diesel. But those didn't have LEDs in them. These will have. These will also have the rubber hoses on them. They come in Santa Fe, the blue and yellow. They also come in the bicentennial Santa Fe paint scheme, which is really beautiful. They come in Kodachrome, the don't paint so fast Kodachrome paint scheme. Conrail, Erie Lackawanna, which I just showed you with the Robert Frischella shot, and Clinchfield CSX, and also primed for grime. I wanted to bring that up because this is brand new on their website, and I think we're going to do a special video over at Horizon announcing these and showing these off. That's something that I think Chris has got in the works for
Great.
us. So there's all kinds of good stuff going on. Did I mention that when you purchase from Micromark, if you type in a product code WNTW, whether you're on the phone or you're at their website, www.micromark.com, you get a discount. You get the What's Neat This Week podcast discount. So be sure to use product code WNT&W when you're ordering that really cool oven. And there's been a lot of people that have been ordering from them, so thank you very much for that. Now, is there anything else? I'm going to go around the table one more time, guys. Am I missing anything on the table tonight?
Nope.
Wow, we just did all of that in 22 minutes.
Ooh, yeah.
Good timing.
I do want to give a special shout out to my good buddy Tim Miller. He bought me this shirt for my birthday. This is how I roll, and this is how I roll.
I've been talking to Caboose in Lakewood, Colorado, the estate where they purchase estates of trains. They've gotten some really cool stuff. I've been getting photographs from various employees sending me some really neat out of production stuff. But the one thing that caught my eye is they've got a large scale big boy. And I think it's brass. I'm not sure. I want to get some more information about that. But it's really exciting. It's pretty neat, the stuff that they're getting in. It's really, really amazing how these model railroad products get a second chance at life with a brand new owner, and we all appreciate that. So, guys, without that, I think we've covered it all for tonight. If we didn't, I'll make up for it. Next week, we don't do a show. It's our week off where I complete October's What's Neat for Model Railroad Hobbyist Magazine. But we're going to come back right with you next month and do this again for 4 weeks. So rock and roll, guys. Best hobby in the world.
That's
Best
right.
people in the world. Let's go run some trains.